Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm super excited about today's video because it's a little bit different. I am going to be making this into a 5-part series. This is part 1, and this series is going to be about the journey of finding yourself after motherhood. So in this series, I'm going to be talking about the things that I am doing to kind of find myself again and be like more than a mom, if that's what you want to call it. I do want to preface this by saying that the things that I'm going to be talking about are things that have worked for me personally. I know that isn't going to work for everybody. So if what my tips are don't work for you, I really do encourage you to go out and find something that is going to work for you. I just really encourage it. I also want to preface this by saying that you really need to be honest about where exactly you are in motherhood. These things that we're going to be talking about over the next few weeks aren't going to work the same way for somebody who has a newborn as opposed to somebody who, like me, like my daughter is a toddler now. I think that the honest truth about motherhood is that there is a segment of time when you are living your life for your baby, and that is okay and that is normal. And although that is hard, I do think that it's just a natural thing that happens. I'm sure that there are women out there who can tell you how to make sure that you never get lost in motherhood. I did not do that, so this is not that video. So we are going to be talking about what to do after you've already gotten lost. um, so all of that said, let's get into it. In today's video, I honestly just wanted to kind of pause before we get into how to find yourself. I kind of want to take a minute to talk about why I think that, at least in my experience, like you get lost in the first place, because I do think that that is something that's kind of glazed over. I think that even though it is usually expected that after you have a baby, like you fully devote all of your time to your baby, and people aren't shocked when, you lose yourself. You don't always call it that, but people aren't shocked when you're so wrapped up in motherhood that you don't have time for anything else. Like that is a natural thing that people just kind of normalize, and I think that that is fine. But I I just know that there aren't a lot of conversations of what do you do to get out of that, because I don't necessarily think you should live there forever. I think that you can live there too long. I think that it is completely up to you how long you want to be 100% mom mode all the time. Um, and I just I just think that there needs to be more of a conversation. So I'm having the conversation with you guys. And so I think that, at least for me in particular, the two main reasons that I kind of got lost a little bit, the first one is because you just get so busy. Like once you're a mom, you're busy all the time. And the second reason is that you are truly living your entire life around another human being for at least a segment of time. Like you are planning your life around meal times and nap times and bedtimes, and whether or not, like if when I was breastfeeding, like the outfits I was wearing, are they breastfeeding friendly? If I'm going somewhere, do I need to take my pump? Am I going to be able to find a place to breastfeed her? Like all of these things, like are the normal things that you have to think about every single day, that you just get so wrapped up in all of that that you don't honestly have time for the other things. And I just think that that is an adjustment period that you kind of have to go through. Is like the things that were in your life before you were a mom don't go away when you have a kid. Like for me, like I still have my job and all of the things that come with that. I still have my friends, like my relationship with my husband, like all of these things are still there, like upkeep on my house, like all of this stuff is stuff that doesn't go away. So you have all of this stuff from before, but you also have all of this stuff that is new when you have the baby, and it is just this juggling act of figuring out what things from before, because you still have the same amount of time in a day, so like what things from before can go away to make time for the new. And like I said at first, all of them, like all of those things from before just kind of go away when you have a baby. I know obviously, like some people it's more severe than others, because some people have super easy babies. And I'm not saying that I had a hard baby, My Aurora was great, but the entire time she hated sleeping. I mean, we had like the first few blissful weeks, and then she didn't sleep like at all. Like nap times were a struggle, bedtimes were a struggle until she was a year and a half. It was literally a year and a half before I got a full night's sleep with my daughter. And so it's just, you know, like I said, everybody's journey is differently. So the severity of the things that from before that you need to get rid of to fill in the new, like I know that severity is going to be different for everybody. So like I said, this is going to be something that is different. I'm just going to kind of walk you through some steps of things that are working for me that you can try. I'm not telling you like, hey, do this, this, and this. I'm gonna be like, hey, here's a list of things to see. So I think that those are the main reasons that I personally got lost. I think that this sounds like an oxymoron in saying it, but when you become a mom, you have to slow down. But while you're slowing down, like you feel busier. And what I mean by that is you have to slow down in the things that you were doing before. So, like for me, there are certain things that I want to accomplish and certain goals that I have. And I was reaching them at a faster rate before I became a mom. Now, obviously, becoming a mom was one of those goals. So, I am in no way saying that I would change it or do things different. I'm just making a fact that in the case for me, there are certain things that I would be accomplishing faster if I was not a mom, because I would have more time to dedicate to those things. And quite frankly, those things, even though I still have those goals and those accomplishments and those things that I want for myself, they're all still there, but they're not necessarily as much of a priority as they used to be. And I'm okay with that. There are times when I am less okay with that. I do, feel the frustrations when I wish that I could be further along, and that's just not where I'm at. And so I think that that's really hard because I feel like I'm busy all the time, but then at the same time, there are certain things that aren't moving forward that I wish were. And so it's like I have all this busyness, but don't always go anywhere. And I know that that can be frustrating. That is something that I personally struggle with. And so I think that when you're juggling all these things, like you just have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice. And I think that sometimes you can sacrifice something that you then later find out you shouldn't have sacrificed. And so, getting back to those things or changing your mind, rearranging the things, I think is all part of the process, is kind of what I'm learning now. I know literally, yes, there are things that I could make time for to get further along. But like I said, it's just you have to figure out what you're willing to sacrifice. And some of the things that I would have to sacrifice to accomplish the things that I'm not yet accomplishing aren't things that I'm willing to part with. And that is, spending time playing with my daughter and, having time with them and my family. And I think that the honest truth, when it comes right down to it in the season that I'm in, when it comes to the things that I'm going to have to sacrifice, I'm always going to sacrifice things that are for me. I am never going to sacrifice anything that is for my daughter. And I say that like within reason. Like, yes, sometimes I have to choose not to play with her because I need to get some work done, or, you know, what I mean. But when it comes to like the big things, like I can't devote, 4 hours a day to trying to do these things for myself at the expense of spending time with my daughter. I could, but I'm not going to. And so I think that it is just finding that balance of what you want. Maybe that is something that you're willing to do, is not spend the 4 hours now so that you can spend the 4 hours later. You know what I mean? And so I do think that, again, this is just something that people have to figure out in their own journey. For a long time, I wanted to be super mom. I wanted to hit all the career goals, do all the mom things, teach my kid all of the things, like homeschooling her while working, while having a clean house, while having, the greatest marriage. Like you want all the things. And I think that you can have all the things. I just don't think that you can have all the things and stay sane. No, I'm just kidding. Kind of kidding. I'm kind of kidding. But I think that there are times when balls get dropped. Quite frankly, trying to be super mom and do all the things just left me exhausted and moody and honestly feeling like I was failing at the things that I wasn't doing the most of. And so I think that you just have to get to this place of accepting that things are going to move slower, that you have to pick those priorities. Like, not everything can be top priority. And I think that once you get there, there's kind of this, not necessarily, I don't want to say peace, but like once you accept that, I do think that things get easier, at least in my experience. They have, once I realize that I do kind of have to pick and choose what is my top priority right now, it's just super helpful as opposed to thinking that I can do all the things all the time, because I can't. Not and be happy, because and be happy is a very important part of that. I think that you can do all the things all the time. I don't know that you can do all the things all the time and be happy and healthy. It's just, that's just what might be an unpopular opinion, but I think that that is at least true in my case. At least not in this season, because there is still a bulk of my day that I am not living for just me. I'm doing it for me and my family and my daughter. Like, my daughter still needs me a lot. And so, yeah. Then another thing that I want to talk about is something that I think is super common, super normalized. That is a thing that people say all the time. And quite frankly, I still say it, even though I think that it is a disservice to say it. And that is, for a long time, I was trying to get back to my old self. And that is something that people say all the time, like, oh, I can't wait to feel like myself again. And, you know, you bounce back after having a baby. And I think that is a disservice, because the old me doesn't exist anymore. The pre-Aurora version of me is dead and gone, and I'm not going to be able to get back to the old me. And that doesn't mean that, you know, all of the things that I used to like, I don't like now. What I mean is, I think that once you realize that, it's okay to just kind of take a minute and let that sink in. I know that there's a movie on Netflix, and it's called Look Both Ways. And there's a scene in that movie where the girl is talking about things that she misses from before. And her mom, she actually says, you know, it's something that people don't talk a lot about, but there's a mourning period for your old life. And I think that, like, yeah, like that's exactly what it was. I think that you have to take a minute and realize that your old life isn't there anymore. And I think that it is okay to be sad about that sometimes, and it's okay to miss that. And I'm not in any way saying that, like, I want to go back to that. I'm just saying that there are times when I miss that part of my life. Even though there are so many great things that come with being Aurora's mom, there's things about my old life that I'm going to miss, and will probably miss for a long, long time. I mean, I miss the simplicity of what my life was before, when all I had to worry about is what and like, I'm saying this like in general terms, like obviously I care about other people and what other people want, and my husband and my family and all that stuff, but like, I was like priority number one. Like, I made sure that my needs were met and what I wanted was met, and I was reaching towards my goals. And like I said earlier, like, I can't always make sure that all of that is done right now. If, you know, my daughter needs something, I'm going to drop whatever I'm doing and get her what she needs. And that is just who I am as a mom. It's who I want to be as a mom. I want her to know that she can always count on me and that I will always show up for her. That is something that is super important to me as a mom, is that she knows that. And like I said, that just means that my priorities are different now. And the things that I like are different now. How I want to spend my time is different now. The people that I want to spend my time with looks different now. The amount of time that I have that is truly my time looks so much different. And I think that that's okay. And I also think that the Taylor from 2019 would be absolutely horrified of some of the things that I enjoy doing now, and the ways that I like spending my time. I mean, like, we are related, but we don't really know each other. And I think that once I realized that that was the case, that there was no going back to my old self, there was only finding who I am now. I think that that was a really big step for me in figuring it out, because I'm no longer trying to feel like myself again or trying to find my old self. I'm trying things to figure out who I am now and who I want to be going forward. And like I said, that looks a lot different than it did a couple years ago. And the place that I want to end up in my life looks a lot different than it did a couple years ago. And I am truly okay with that. I think that there is a journey to get to that point. I know I keep saying that, but I just want to lay it all out there. Like, it's not like a, hey, today I'm going to find myself conversation. Like, it's something that takes time, and it's trial and error, and there's just so much growth and change that happens when you become a mom. And that is what I want to spend the next few weeks talking about, is taking the time to kind of fine tune what your life is going to look like now, and what my life is going to look like now that I'm a mom, and now that I'm learning how to be more than a mom. So again, thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe so that you don't miss any of the next videos in the series, and I really hope that you will go along with me as we work through this together, and I'm super excited to do this with you guys. Bye.